Hello, 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博人。Hey you guys, welcome back to Reports on China. I'm Andy. Following US Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi entering Taiwan recently, many around the world are wondering what is next for China-US relations, which don't just impact those two countries alone, but the entire planet. Today I was honoured to have a chat with Professor Wu Xinbo, Dean of the Institute of International Studies, as well as Director of the Center for American Studies at China's prestigious Fudan University, about what he thinks is on the cards. So just a few days ago, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi entered Taiwan in the middle of the night on a US Air Force jet. For the Chinese people, this was a huge provocation, and millions of Chinese people felt almost violated, I would say, as they watched her plane enter the Chinese airspace live on the internet. But I've noticed in the days following that many of our foreign friends, especially Westerners, they don't quite understand why Pelosi's visit was so significant. So I was wondering, Professor, if you could explain briefly.
Well, when China and the U.S. normalized relations in 1979, the U.S. made a commitment in the joint communique between two countries that U.S. relations with Taiwan will be only official. And so that means the U.S. should not conduct any official relations with Taiwan after normalizing relations with Chinese mainland. Even though the U.S. has never seriously honored this commitment, but Pelosi's visit still represents a major breach of U.S. commitment on this issue because of her position as the Speaker of the House and also as the ranking third political figure in U.S. political structure. In the past, you had the U.S. cabinet members going to Taiwan, but at Nancy Pelosi's level, that was the first time in the last 25 years. So this is why China feels so angry, and the Chinese people feel so disappointed and frustrated.
I wonder if you could explain a little bit for our international viewers how ordinary Chinese people felt as they saw her plane make a beeline for Taiwan, and how they felt when her plane landed.
Well, when you watch this live, you feel that the U.S. really directly challenged China's dignity and national feeling on the Taiwan issue. If you know how important the Taiwan issue to the Chinese, and especially they also feel that the Chinese Air Force did not take action to stop her from landing in Taiwan. Some of the public also feel frustrated and disappointed. Originally, they thought the People's Liberation Army Air Force would take some action to prevent her plane from landing in Taiwan. So there were a lot of airing of frustration in the social media.
Yeah, I felt it. I was wondering if you would be able to explain then for our Chinese viewers a little bit about US political culture, I guess, and why is it that the Speaker of the House felt so hell-bent on visiting, and why is it also that US politicians can sometimes appear to, act kind of recklessly?
Well, in the US, there's a saying goes, all politics are local, and actually it's also correct to say all politics are personal, especially for US legislators, senators, or congressmen and congresswomen. What they care is about his or political interests, not rather the U.S. national interests. So this is why people like Nancy Pelosi, for the sake of promoting her political standing back at home, and also leaving a political legacy of confronting China on the Taiwan issue, she was determined to visit Taiwan in spite of the dissuasion from the Biden administration. Because the Congress people, they don't have to, manage U.S. relations with other countries. What they have to care about is their own political capital, their own political interest. So that explains why the Congress, when it comes to foreign relations, always behaves recklessly and irresponsibly. Not just Nancy Pelosi, but many other U.S. legislators. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess that's partly why Chinese people can't understand, because I guess I feel like Chinese politicians are a lot more selfless in a way. But some Western pundits suggested that China was weak for not taking military action when her Air Force jet entered Chinese airspace. But for me personally, I think China's reaction actually showed quite a lot of strength. So why does it seem at times that the US is always itching for war?
Well, first about China, I think China responded strongly, but also with some self-restraint, because we do not want to head into military conflict with the US on this issue. For the US, the problem is that the US is so powerful militarily. So as the saying goes, if you have a hammer in your instrument box, you're inclined to see everything as a nail. So US is so addicted to its power preponderance, so it's inclined to use force to deal with challenges. But sometimes it pays heavy price, like in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and in other countries and regions. For China, we have a strategic culture which cautions the use of force in dealing with other countries. So I think it's more a political wisdom or strategic wisdom not to be inclined to use force as a first choice to deal with challenges.
I think it's definitely the right way. So what is next? What kind of measures do you think China will take in retaliation? And have China-US relations been irreparably damaged in your opinion?
Well, as you have seen, we have taken both military and diplomatic measures in retaliation against Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. Is that the end of this game? Well, that depends on how U.S. will respond. And the U.S. government official has indicated that recently U.S. will send its military aircraft and Navy ships across the Taiwan Strait. If that happens, that will be regarded as another round of provocation against China, and China will take further action to retaliate. So then you will see, this kind of chain of action and reaction continue to repeat itself. And for China-US relations, I think this certainly has done serious damage, both in terms of the credit of the Biden administration and also its ability to manage relations with China. After all, President Xi spent a lot of time in his phone call with Biden explaining Chinese position on the Taiwan issue and strongly urged Biden to prevent Pelosi from visiting Taiwan. And that didn't happen. So we really naturally question Biden's credibility of seeking more cooperation with China and improved relations with China. And also the question arises about his ability to manage U.S. domestic politics. Pelosi is from the same party as Biden is, so Biden should be able to persuade her not to go to Taiwan. And in the next several months, I think this relationship, China-US relations, will remain tense and stalemated until the U.S. can take some major steps to improve this relationship.
Yeah, I guess only time will tell. We'll be certainly watching closely. So as someone who understands a lot about Chinese and American culture, what are some of the roadblocks in the way of better people-to-people relations? Basically, I guess, why do you think it is that people just can't get along?
Well, it's never a problem for two peoples to get along with each other. I spent several years studying and doing research in the U.S. I have many American friends, and we have very good personal relations. But when it comes to the state level, when we talk about relations between two countries, I think the problem for the U.S. is that it takes for granted the U.S. hegemony, and it is so much addicted to preserving the U.S. primacy, and also not to show due respect to the interests and feeling of other countries, including China. So I think that is a problem, simply because the U.S. is in a hegemonic position. So it is very common that it does not take into due considerate the national interests and national feeling of other countries.
Yeah, that's, I think, quite obvious. Now, last question. I always, when I tell people who want to know more about China, I tell them, make Chinese friends, talk to Chinese people, find out what makes them tick, I guess, what they worry about, what their dreams are. The reason, I guess, is because, I feel deep down inside, especially having lived in China for nearly 10 years, that we are all very, very similar. So I wanted to ask you, how important is friendship between different cultures on a personal level? And what do you think Chinese and American people have in common that some people might not realize?
Well, when you have a better understanding of the culture and the people of another country, you are not going to be trapped in a kind of stereotyped opinion of another country, and you can resist the temptation to demonize another country, like what the U.S. politicians do about China, because you know its people, its culture and society. So in that way, it's very important for you to get to know another country's people and its culture. As I said, I have many American friends. I have lived and worked in the U.S. for several years. There are a lot of similarities between two peoples. We are both hardworking, diligent, and we pay attention to the role of education, and we believe in family value. And also both peoples are very humorous, and we can easily get together with fun, with humor, and as they like. So, as I said, there's no problem for two peoples to get along with each other. But politics at the state level is a different story with very different logic behind it. We should not blame the problem between two countries. We should not blame two peoples for the problems between two countries.
Very, very good advice. Thank you, Professor Wu. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Well, great discussion, I think. A lot of useful information there. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.